So after years of splitting all my firewood by hand, I finally broke down and bought a firewood splitter. And as you can tell by the title, and right here, I went for a inertia or flywheel driven wood splitter. Before going for this guy, I did seriously consider the super split, seeing as how it is the original, and in many cases seems to be a little bit more of a better unit, although it's sort of subjective to each and their own opinion. I did go for the DR just because it was sold nearby, so I could go right to a John Deere dealer, point in fact, and have them receive it, put it all together, gas it all up, get ready to go. If I have any problems with it, I can take it back there for any warranty work. The price point was lower to buy the thing initially. For the comparable super split machine with tow hitch, table, and comparable power plant was a little bit under $3,000. This thing out the door was less than $2,600. And I should mention that the super split would have been under $3,000, but that's before I had to either have it shipped to me, which isn't anywhere really nearby for as far as a place that would actually accept a full-size tractor trailer to offload the thing, or I could also drive to their facility to pick it up at the factory, but there again, there's time and money involved in that too. Whether or not this is a cheaper machine, yet to be determined in my opinion. This is sort of their second iteration, if you will. The first ones that they produced, DR, were a blatant rip-off of Super Split. I mean, it was basically the exact same thing, just different colors. And from what I've seen and read, they had really, really mixed reviews on whether or not people liked them. Some people had awesome luck with them, a lot of people didn't. This one, as you can see, I've split that right there. That took me all of about 10 minutes. Obviously the pile's right there. One thing I did right off the get-go, and I'll throw some footage in here as we go of me splitting wood with this thing, is I hooked this safety lever, because the first iteration of the DR splitter just had the one handle here to run the ram forward and back. And then obviously the lawyers got involved with them not liking the fact that you could put your hand on the piece of wood and run the lever with the other. But the downside to that is if you don't have a piece of wood that wants to stay put on the I-beam, you're basically screwed because you're having to take both hands to operate the mechanism to run the ram, so it's just rolling around and won't line up with the wedge. Another thing, the wedge needs to be taller in my opinion right off the get-go, but whatever. This strap I've got just hooked down onto these engine covers down low and made sure that the tail end of it wasn't going to get into the flywheel and get sucked in, because that would have been fun. So now I can run this thing one-handed. Whether or not this is going to be a permanent solution, I don't really see that. I'll figure out something a bit better than that, but that was what I come up with in 5 minutes or so. Just because I was trying to split these smaller birch pieces here, and they were just rolling off on me, and it was like, this is not working. And while it's still sort of screwed up, I will show, if I can get it out, there we go. The ram right now is not retracting, as in it's not cycling properly, because there's a little bit of, there's like a wood shaving stuck right underneath this thing. So it's basically sort of almost wedged between the bottom of this push plate and the I-beam itself. So it does cycle forward fine, and you can push it back, but it's not free moving enough to where the spring deal under there can suck it back on just spring tension. So apparently that's something I need to really be aware of and keep all debris out of there, since I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to get that out of there. Either maybe try taking these two bolts out here and seeing if that gives me enough leeway to get that thing moved enough to get that out of there. I'm not quite sure yet. But something I would mention right off the bat, seeing as how I've literally put about 10 minutes on this machine and that's already happened. If there was a way somehow maybe to like open that tolerance a little bit so that you could get a little bit more leeway on the size of things that can run over. I'm not sure if you can adjust that or not. You do have a roller here And then I don't know if you guys can see that, there's a roller here and one on the other side as well for this thing to ride on and remain sort of centered on the I-beam. And also you can adjust it inside there as far as if it gets off track a little bit, apparently, through my readings of the owner's manual. Another thing, table needs to be wider, at least, if not bigger all the way around. I don't know if we're going to sell at some point little table extensions, seeing as how there's 3 holes right there in the table on each side. I imagine at some point maybe they'll come out with some sort of accessory pack and you can get table extensions or something. I'll probably just fab up something myself, since it'll probably be a lot cheaper than buying some DR branded something or other. Hitch right here. This little peg right there you pull out, and this foot piece can flip up into right there, and then theoretically you can use a pin to hook it up to a lawnmower, 4-wheeler, or whatnot. I went out to Tractor Supply on the way home with this thing and got a 2-inch ball receiver so I can put it on my 4-wheeler, because I've got the ball hitch on the 4-wheeler and don't really want to have to take that off in order to tow this thing. The only problem I see it happening is that the rear bumpers I have on the quad might be getting quite close to the edge of this table, where this doesn't really protrude out very far. So that might be an issue. Obviously I've yet to bolt up the hitch assembly to try that out and see, but I'll be doing plenty of videos on this thing as time goes on to show whether or not it's worth it or not, because much like the DR tow behind brush mower that I've made videos on, the only other videos I've seen on this particular machine, like I said, this sort of second iteration of these, have just been DR promotional stuff. There hasn't really been any real owner reviews, so I kind of want to give my input for better or worse, so that if any of you guys watching this are interested in one of these machines, you can sort of have a better, more educated opinion of them, or at least from my my interactions with it. Power plant is a Briggs & Stratton with 9.5 whopping foot-pounds of torque. Apparently they did have Subaru Robin engines on these, but I don't know if their contract ran out or if these are a little bit cheaper or what, but on the dealer listing when I was ordering the thing, it listed that it came with a Subaru engine. DR website at the same time listed that it came with a Briggs & Stratton. Obviously the DR website gets updated far more frequently than the dealer listing, since it came with a Briggs & Stratton. So far so good. I mean, but it bloody better be, with 10 minutes of runtime on it. Fires right up, no problem. Real simple: throttle, choke, fuel shut off, kill switch, pull cord. Top it off the fuel. Does not come with an oil filter, just you drain oil, and then of course you got your air filter and basic fare like that. I won't do it right now, but in videos to come I will take the cover off so you guys can see the inner workings. Right now I'm going to be trying to free that thing up and make sure I can keep it going. Tried to throw some semi tough pieces of wood in there. Oh, and while my hand's resting on the handle, it reminded me, why do they keep putting this foam stuff on all these handles? I know it's supposed to be it's so ergonomic and comfy. This never lasts. Why? I don't get it. Just give me a metal handle. I mean, I don't really care. I'm gonna be wearing gloves doing this anyway. I don't need the extra padding. This is just gonna deteriorate and fall off and just make a mess, so that I'm probably just gonna cut right off right now, because I hate those. Like I was saying, I was trying to find some semi-difficult pieces of wood to throw through this. I know no matter what I put through this, there'll be someone who will say that it wasn't tough enough, because that seems to be a recurring thing in all these flywheel inertia splitters, is that people come on, oh, it can't split this, that, and the other. Well, it's not a hydraulic machine. It's not with the same splitting with the same mindset. You're sort of packing a quick punch versus a sustained kick, or however you want to think of it. The few pieces that were kind of funky were also rotten, so it kind of went right through them pretty easily. I do have some bigger ash pieces right there with knots on them and whatnot, and that's like a double leader with a crotch in the center, so that'll be interesting to see. I will make sure to turn the camera on when I do those to show you guys how this thing does. This is the biggest model that DR makes. It's the Pro XL K34. It's the biggest model, I should say, for 2016, which is when I bought it. I literally got it yesterday. So as far as their DR's flywheel inertia splitters, this is as good as it gets, basically. So I've got this pile here, which is, what, 1, 2, 3, about 5 tiers deep, this size, and back. So I figured that'll be a good test run of it. One thing I am still waiting for is a engine hour meter, just because I like having an hour meter, which I find totally ironic that all these pieces of equipment that come with no hour meters, all of their maintenance schedules are listed at X hours. How are you supposed to know? You're supposed to like keep a little chart with a pen and paper there every time you run the thing? I'm not gonna. So for whopping, what was it, $13 or something on the Amazon hour meter, stick it on there somewhere, be ready to rock, and I'll just sort of bear in mind what I'm running it today is, or how long I'm running it today. DR Pro XL splitter, K34 model, and I will keep you guys updated.